But yeah, my views
I like
on
that.
my
I like that.
my views on psychedelics I don't I personally think as long as you're not doing any harm to someone else, do you, and what happens happens. It's your life. I try not to. I don't want to ever like stop someone from living their life unless they're really physically hurting someone else.
Mm.
I don't know. What are your
Mm.
thoughts on that stuff?
Absolutely. So it's been two things that have one. So weed and mushrooms have both been one of the things that has impacted my life in a very positive way. So weed first. It was funny because I was with my partner girlfriend for a long time, like for 4.5 years, and about a year in, I started smoking. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, don't be a loser! Like, what the hell?" And I was like, "Well, wait a minute." I had to check myself because all of my life I had very negative representations of weed, and I never did any authentic research for myself, for my own understanding. So I was like, all right, I challenged it, researched it, what the plant does, the benefits that it has for you. And I was just really surprised. I'm okay, you know what? I'm going to give this a try. And like, wow. It's the way it's opened pathways in my brain, like roadmaps, and being able to access different memories, different wounds that I experienced, like in my earlier years, that I was able to, because it came to the surface, and I've heard other people's experiences where they didn't like that. They didn't like when, all of these thoughts and sensations were coming up. But me, I enjoyed it because I viewed it as an experience, as an opportunity to be confronted with a wound and to heal it, to move through it. So that's been extremely healing. And with mushrooms, I've only done it I think about 3 times. One time was with my longtime partner, again, the same person. And we went for a hike. We were outside, like it was just super exhilarating. We got home and we started to feel nauseous every time that we walked up to the door. And it was so strange because we didn't know what was going on. Like, wait, okay, so when we walk up to the house door, we feel nauseous, but when we go to the grass, we feel grounded again. And I mean, we came to the conclusion it was not natural to be indoors. That didn't feel right at that moment. And yeah, just really positive, really positive, really
True.
positive.
Now, what
Mm.
were some of the wounds that, like, are there some that, like, what were some of the bigger ones that you kind of had to confront and everything when you were high?
Oh, definitely. Of just yeah, I'm trying to see which one comes to my head. Oh, this one of them was so around the summer of, I think it might have been 2018. So around the summer, there was this a period of time where my mom had broke her arm, not her arm, her wrist and her ankle.
Damn.
Yeah, like she fell off this like scooter, and I was, I'm the oldest, so I was. There was a lot on me, like to step up to help out because I have 3 other siblings, and I was dropping the ball a lot. Like I was extremely overwhelmed and not prepared, not prepared and not in my right mental state. And when like I was going through struggles with my dad, like that was coming up a lot at that particular time. And so fast forward a couple years later, I was just like high one day on weed. And this was like at 3, 4 in the morning, it just came to me. Like I just started crying. And I was reflecting to myself, like, why are you crying? And I was like, well, I felt so much shame and guilt for being a bad son. That's what I really felt like. I was a bad son for that particular moment in time because I had, dropped the ball so heavy. And I love my mom so much, love my family so much, so supportive, so nourishing. And yeah, I just felt like total dog shit about that. And when that moment happened and I was just crying and it was coming up, right afterwards, I just felt super cleansed. Like I felt like I weighed only a pound, I just felt so light, and liberated.
Damn. Yeah. No. That's.
Yeah.
I can imagine that feeling, just having the weight of the world, just not only off your shoulders, off your whole fucking body. Why do you?
Yes.
Why did you feel as if you were failing? With like you're being I guess a good son, or just trying to support everyone or whoever you were trying to support.
At that, it's a great question. At that time, because there are moments where, like, there was one day where like it had reached its boiling point of not being helpful. There was one day where my mom, my two brothers, and my sister actually, they needed to go somewhere, and I was like, no, I'm not driving. I know mom's hurt. I'm not driving. And she and my mom ended up driving, and I was stayed home, and that was just like, I mean, looking back now, I can't even fathom doing something like that, because it's like your handicapped mom needs to go somewhere, needs to get something done, and you're making her drive, like what? So that
What was the reason that you said I'm like, no, I'm not doing it? Like, why'd you say that?
Oh yeah, great question. Being selfish, I just said, nope, I'm not doing it. Because I don't feel like doing it. Like, and that was, yeah, that's purely it. No sugar, no salt. Yeah. And
I don't wanna, so fuck it.
Right. And like, I look back now and it's just like, whoa, the mind state and space that I was in. And everything happens for a reason. Nothing happens without purpose, because I do remember that day in particular, my mom was like, we were just going back and forth. She was like, what the hell is going on? Like, you're just checked out. Like, this, we really needed you today. Like, you see the situation I'm in. Like, you just deny it for nothing, because you don't want to. So we got into it about that, and eventually what came up through that conversation, I started having this like really emotional like release, like breakdown, like release of like speaking about my dad, and and opening up how I felt like he broke my heart, and that was something I had never admitted out loud to anyone, so with all of that madness going on, there was at least that clarity at least that clarity to be achieved. That was a huge burden lifted. And from that moment, actually, yeah, because I'm really reflecting on it now. From that moment, um, I really started to my mindset and my heart set began to take a big shift. A big shift. Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I are you?
Yeah.
No, no.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fucking wild. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, where are my cliff notes? I didn't fucking write anything down. Are you open, like, if, talking about your dad and everything?
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
'cause I don't want
definitely.
actually anything that you don't, because we're the same, we're like literally around the same age, and
Yeah.
so,
Oh yeah.
I can
I'm
imagine how
definitely
tough that
open.
would be. So, I mean, now your father passed because of, I think it was a cocaine induced heart attack, was it?
Heart attack. Yeah. Heart attack.
And because right now, the past like 10, 15 minutes, we've been talking about, weed and shrooms and
Yeah.
like drugs and everything. Like,
That's
what
right.
was, again, the way I found out about you was that video, and like,
Mhm.
you guys were literally talking about like his drug use, it seemed like, or at least just
Yeah.
his role in the family also, and like his role with you as well. Like, what do you, when you were first like just doing drugs at all, did you feel
Mhm.
kind of weird? Like, because in your mind, you're like, fuck, am I like doing the same thing that my father in a way was doing in the beginning of his stages, or did you see
Oh,
any parallels in that?
100%. 100%. Like that would come to mind a lot, and it wasn't even until just doing the research and the information about the plants like weed it took me about a year to try it, a year just doing the research. Mushrooms, I spent 2 years doing research on it before I tried it. So, oh yeah, I definitely would battle with those thoughts, and they sprinkle sometimes even now, but again, it gets pushed away because when I look at my intentions for, whether I'm doing weed or not even really mushrooms. That's like, that's not something I even do recreationally, but weed. When I'm doing it, it's always with the intention of understanding myself deeper. Of, all right, after this, I'm gonna be creative, or whatever the case may
I
be.
love I
But
love you, Vallejo. I just that's always the famous thing someone says, and then you just hear them ripping the biggest bong hit, and then it's like, yeah, okay, now we're going to Taco Bell, right? Like, come on, I'm just trying to open my mind, man. Okay, while you're eating a Chipotle burrito inside of an enchilada, inside of a chimichanga, like, okay.
You know what I've noticed too? Like, weed has opened me permanently to be the social person that I truly am. Like, I used to get in, like, when I was a kid, I used to get in my head a lot. And like, if I knew you, I'd be comfortable around you, but I wasn't. Hey, I'm talking to this person and that person and that person. But in my mind, I had the potential to be, but I was, again, just in my own head, in my own thoughts. And like weed, it's fascinating because it's one of the most social things that I've ever done. Like, I've had some incredible conversations with a person just sharing a blunt, like someone I didn't even know like 20 minutes before, but we're like, oh, okay. And had like really transformative conversations. Like this one kid, this was so bizarre to me because I never even heard or saw him again. I was I went to my girlfriend's job and I was waiting for her. And this guy just happened to be outside. He had worked there too, but he was off. Young kid. He was like 19, from Hawaii. So we smoked one and just talking about life, just learning and being natural, like what it was like for him growing up on the islands and coming here. And after that, after we smoked one, he just walked home barefoot, and I never even like I never
and I never saw from him. Yeah, he's dead. He's dead, Xavier. He died. Like, yeah, he stepped on a rusty nail. He hasn't had a tetanus shot since he was sick. He's gone, dude. It was so magical to see. Yeah, walk into an emergency room, fucking bleeding.
Yo, dude was super chill.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, was past tense. I mean, like there you go. WAS was. We always loved Gary. He was a free solo kind of guy. Then he jumped off a building with no parachute. It's like, yeah, everyone loves Gary until he splat.